response, which causes countless delays. Our current response model for residential structure fire is as follows. If you don't mind, I'd like to approach you guys and give you guys some background. Our current model, I'll put this up here for everybody.
Just that mic comes off, so please bring it with you.
Perfect. So our current model, as we see it right now, is we respond to a residential structure fire. 1 battalion chief, 1 personnel. 2 rescue ambulances, 2 personnel each, 4 more. 2 fire engines, 3 personnel each, okay? For a total of 11 personnel. Like I said, the residential structure fire response from the National Fire Protection Agency is 14 personnel. We are 3 personnel short. LA County's fire response, an regional approach. First alarm response, 1 battalion chief, 1 quint or ladder truck, 4 engines, 3 men each, or 3 persons each, 1 EST, which is a utility vehicle, and 1 paramedic squad, for a total of 20 people. Okay? If you don't mind, you can set those up there.
That's it.
Once again, for an apartment response, like I said, this is a multi-family dwelling. We have many apartment complexes here within our city, as well as a commercial response. The Laverne Fire Department, once again, 1 battalion chief, 2 rescue ambulances, and 2 fire engines, for a total of 11 personnel. The National Fire Protection Agency recommends 27 personnel. Los Angeles County Fire Department response, 2 battalion chiefs, 2 quints or 2 trucks with ladder capabilities, 5 engines, and 2 utilities, 1 EST, and 1 paramedic squad, for a total of 28 personnel. If you're starting to notice a trend, you'll see that the Laverne Fire Department's response model does not change given whatever circumstance we come across. And finally, last but not least, what I'd like to show you is the brush fire response. The city of Laverne has a substantial amount of wildland urban interface and urban intermix where homes are mixed within the brush. You guys all saw what happened last year during the Napa fires and that of the Thomas fire. Okay? Millions of dollars of homes were lost and multiple lives were lost. The Laverne Fire Department's response for a brush fire, you guessed it, 1 battalion chief, 2 RAs, and 2 engines, for a total of 11 personnel. LA County's fire response model, 2 battalion chiefs, 7 engines, 1 patrol, 1 dozer, 1 water tender, 3 superintendents, 2 fixed-wing aircraft, 3 helicopters, 1 squad, for a total of 87 personnel. Now, I hear some people in the audience saying overkill. Are you aware, sir, that a brush fire
Speak to the council, please.
about that? I do hear people in the audience saying this is overkill, and I assure you that it is not overkill. Los Angeles Fire Department and Los Angeles County Fire Department is an outstanding agency that provides an outstanding level of service. They would not have those responding units there if they didn't feel necessary. A lot of times it's better to attack a fire with more personnel from the initial onset than it is to ramp it up, because fires cost in excess of $1 million a day on campaign fires. So continuing here, the city's elected officials, primarily the mayor, have always used the public safety employees for their personal gain during election season. We are not here to play politics. We have seen on social media and have heard from the people within the city that we just want more money or that we are angry. Councilwoman Carter said, and I quote, "The firemen are angry with our actions, so they are putting false information out there. We are here to tell you that that is false. Do not confuse passion with anger." And what false information have we cited, Councilwoman Carter?
Please continue.
Go ahead and keep talking, please.
Okay. We are here to expose the truth and give the citizens what they deserve. They deserve a first-rate fire and police department. You, the city, have always praised the fire department for their paramedic service delivery, and we're here to inform you that you can keep it. Are you aware that the city has exclusive 201 rights to provide ambulance service to the citizens? Thus, by contracting County Fire for fire protection, an agency that does not provide transport, you still can control your paramedic service delivery and continue to generate revenue for cost recovery in the range of $700,000 to $800,000 a year. We've also been threatened by our fire chief that CAL FIRE would come in and take over fire protection. CAL FIRE is a great organization, but CAL FIRE has what they call contract counties, which provide initial response fire suppression for them. The fire suppression is provided for SRA, or state responsibility areas. The city of Laverne does have SRA lands, as does the county of Los Angeles. The Los Angeles County Fire Department is the contract fire service provider for CAL FIRE. Thus, it is our opinion that CAL FIRE would not have an interest or the equipment to provide for protection in Laverne or Los Angeles County. The city has made statements that the county cannot provide the service that the Laverne Fire Department can, and we're here to tell you you are correct. It is our opinion they can provide a better service and for less money. Why is it that you are so scared of looking at other options for fire protection? Preliminary numbers without a survey, and I reiterate this, without a survey, these are preliminary numbers, show savings in the range of $1 to $2 million a year annually. That's $10 to $20 million over 10 years. Not to mention the elusive cost of workers' comp insurance, facilities maintenance, fleet maintenance, and the ever so elusive PERS obligations. By contracting Los Angeles County to provide fire protection and dispatch, we can in some instances decrease our response time. So give me a second to set up a couple more visual aids that we have here. I can walk you through those. What we have in front of you, and I'll show it to the citizens here shortly, are two response maps. Each of these response maps is a district response to the city of Laverne. If you look here, the city of Laverne has done over the years a masterful job of providing a service within that 6-minute response time. A 6-minute response time is important to us because after 6 minutes, the brain sustains injury if it is not adequately oxygenated. So that's why fire stations are put in certain specific places to respond in that 6-minute window. If you'll notice here, you have 3 different stations, 2 fully functioning fire stations and 1 emergency medical response station up here by station 3. If you note that you do have overlapping coverages within that area, and our annual budget is $8.2 million and some change. Okay? I have to leave that one there. Now if you'll note the one that President Glaze is holding here. This is a response model from LA County Fire Department. Okay? The city of Laverne has 3 county stations within 1/2 mile of our city borders. By utilizing a regional approach, you can see that the coverage level far exceeds Laverne's fire department's coverage level by overlapping circles here. These response models are based on a 6-minute response. We took 1 minute of time off of the response for what we call a turnout time, for when the time of dispatch to when we actually get in our rigs and respond on the call. Thus, this is actually a 5-minute drive time. And might I add, these circles are all code 2 responses. Code 2 response means that we are not going lights and sirens. We are following and obeying all traffic laws, speed limits, and stop signs or stop signals. And we have still managed to cover this much area within the city of Laverne, in their city limits. The mayor in public forums has suggested that our response times, 80% of the time, are less than 4 minutes. We found those numbers to be a bit fishy, to say the least. We requested response times, and were given partial response time numbers within 10 days through the Public Information Request Act. We then requested the complete response times to include the time that dispatch received the call, or when a citizen calls 911, to the time that we, the responding units, arrive on call. It has now been 13 days. We submitted that request on February 7th. Might I add, the first time we requested this information, we received it in 10 days. After we asked for the additional information to show the true complete response times, it has been 13 days. Like I said, February 7th when it was requested. And this morning, I received a message from Loopy stating that the city will need up to an additional 30 days to gather the required information. Might I add, what do you have to hide? The county provides a service model that is based on a regional approach, meaning that the closest unit is responding to the call. County has a first-rate response model and has 3 out of 4 stations less than half a mile from our city borders. We believe that an apples-for-apples comparison is overkill and that the city can save even more money by optimizing the regional approach and still provide a top-tier response model for a fraction of the cost. A prime example of the regional response model would be the rodeo fire. County responded multiple engines, crews, helicopters, battalion chiefs, and dozers to assist in suppressing that fire. Laverne Fire Department did their part, but were completely behind the wall with resources upon arriving at scene. Another statement that the association has heard from multiple city officials is that the city cannot get out of its PERS because of the PERS obligations. In 2015, the State Assembly passed a bill known as AB 868, or Assembly Bill 868, and that says, and I will quote, "The counties of Los Angeles, Kern, and Orange, in specified instances, for the service credit and associated assets and liabilities of active members in a CalPERS safety plan to be transferred to a county retirement system in cases where firefighting or law enforcement functions are transferred from the state or an agency participating in CalPERS to an agency participating in a county retirement system. The significant advantage of this provision is that the transfer of eligible active members of a CalPERS safety plan pursuant to this section is not subject to withdrawal liability because the liability of accrued benefits is transferred to the county retirement system." Why has the city not researched this bill? Currently, the Laverne Firefighters Association is formally requesting the city stop the pursuit of a PERS obligation bond and begin the steps necessary to conduct a true feasibility study for fire protection services from the Los Angeles County Fire Department. We believe that given the dire financial circumstances the city is claiming, this is the best option for the citizens and other departments. We would also like to be part of that feasibility study by establishing a committee to interact with the city representatives during this process. These steps will give the city financial sustainability by lessening the PERS obligation and provide a first-class delivery model for fire protection at a lower cost with an increased service delivery model. One thing I would like to add, and this is just speaking off the cuff here. We want you to know that the Laverne Fire Department personnel came here with the intent to serve our community. We are still here with that intent. We will serve the community no matter what happens here. We are dedicated professionals to the citizens of this great town. I also want you to know that we have gentlemen in this room tonight that have turned down the county job offers in the past. We have turned down Los Angeles City offers. Why, you ask? Because we wanted to work here. This is a city that I had the opportunity to somewhat grow up in. I have ties here. A lot of us have ties here, as do you. We bleed Laverne. I have given 16 years of my life, sacrificed countless things for the citizens of this city. We want to stay Laverne. Unfortunately, we cannot do it based on the restraints that you guys are implementing on us. Our job, as dangerous as it is, we go into burning buildings without question, and not one of these gentlemen standing behind me will hesitate to save any one of you or your families. But when you start cutting bodies, when you start, and I take that back, you're not cutting bodies, when you start reallocating bodies to positions that directly affect our operational effectiveness, it causes problems for us. As you can see by the illustrations up here, we do not respond with the appropriate amount of people per the national standard. Okay? If we can save money and provide that service, why would we not look at it? Ms. Carter, I completely understand where you're coming from, talking about you wanted that small town feel and you want that personal relationship with your fire department. And I can tell you this, the county responds on what they call a bid system every year or every 2 years. The county firefighters bid what city they want to work in. I guarantee you that you will have so many people bidding to work in this city, it will not be a revolving door. People want to work here. People want to come here. But like I said, if you don't open that door for those opportunities, we're going to bankrupt the city. And for something that you can do, I mean, when you get an opportunity, please look at these. Please look at what services they provide. We'll be more than happy to answer any questions. And for anybody in the audience, we will be outside afterwards to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you for your time.
Don't leave yet. Any questions? Not yet, but don't go too far.
Hang on.
Wait,
I do. You quoted a savings of between $1 and $2 million.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain how?
I cannot at this time, but what I will say is that is why we need to do a true survey.
Well, is that just based on what you've heard through
This is
speaking?
not through rumor mill, sir. This is through basic studying of Hermosa Beach is the most recent city to contract county services, and we took their proposed amounts that they're paying for certain apparatus that would be functional in this city and applied that to what we're doing now.
All I'm asking is where you came up with your number. I mean, because I know there's been other studies done by other cities that didn't come up with savings. Actually, they came up being more expensive to offer the service. So I was just curious how you came about your number.
And sir, I would say that that's why we look at the regional approach, and that's why we went out and did these. We drove these in plane cars to see what the response times were, because it gives you an adequate representation. It's not a computer model, this is actually driving. So it helps you to see where do we need to position a fire station from LA County, for example. And hopefully we save the city money and provide a better service.
In your initial look, did you contact any of the cities that had most recently changed to see if they, and I mean the city personnel, not the county personnel that you're familiar with, to find out if they were happy with the level of service when they switched from their own to county?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And actually, one of the people that we reached out to was Mr. Allred, who happened to work for this city previously. And he stated that at the time when he was the city manager here, he did not think it was the best thing to do. However, going to other cities that he worked for and by contracting with Los Angeles County, he found it to be just as well of a representation, a great fire department, and with less headaches.
So City of Rosemead has switched from its own fire to county fire?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
No, they've always been part of the county fire protection district.
I'm talking about other cities he's worked for.
I asked about Rosemead.
Okay.
Your question on AB 868, which is the bill. So it's your understanding, or at least your inference from that, that the city's liability as it related to the fire personnel, the pension part, would be shifted over to the county?
That is correct.
Because you came up with a real interesting word there at the end, and that was about the withdrawal. And what's interesting is that's a different number than the unfunded liability. So there's a distinction there. And so maybe, because I haven't been able to find the savings that's being suggested in this bill that's being proposed.
Okay. Well, if you don't mind me adding that, can you please explain to me why Upland City decided to go that route? And yes, they do have unfunded liabilities, as do we. We have people that are already retired. We are paying their medicals. We are paying their retirement benefits. We will not get those back. Let me ask you this, sir. Do you know what the average age, life expectancy is of a firefighter after they retire?
No, I don't.
It's less than 10 years.
Okay.
Okay? I would remind you that right now I am eligible to retire at 53 years of age. I started in the fire service at age 18. That means that at 63 years of age, I will be dead from the service that I've provided to the citizens and to that of everybody else. That's what they say. So what I'm telling you is your unfunded liabilities only go as far as those people are pulling off your retirement system. And why I use Upland for an example is they still save $10 million over 10 years and still pay those unfunded liabilities, and it was still a good financial decision for them.
And I hope that eventuality, you live beyond the standard.
I
But,
doubt that, Bob.
wow.
you look like you take pretty good care of yourself.
But as far as Upland, the reason they were able to get to a savings is they pushed a tax onto the residents. Every one of the residents got passed on $150 per property a year charge to go up every year. And that option, so shifting cost from the city to the residents it saves the city money, but it costs the residents more money, is my
So
understanding.
would you be willing to put a measure out that costs the citizens of this city $10 a month to get service from that to that and remove the PERS obligations?
Well, I don't know that I've come to that conclusion that those numbers exist. You asked me a question, I'm answering your question, so
And I think
that's
this
all.
is healthy dialogue. This is why we're bringing this up. We want you guys to make correct decisions based on good information.
So in your interpretation of AB 868, that if in fact that we were to do a county situation, that all of the unfunded liability from day one of an employee would transfer over to that entity, not just the unfunded liability moving forward.
It would be day one, so.
Day one,
for
you're talking about
example,
20 years service, 20 years of service was unfunded liability, which is retirement, would move forward to whatever entity that.
Correct, you basically come over at a, and this is all preliminary numbers, and like I said, that's why a survey is in need. It's basically, I've been a PERS employee for something around 15, 16 years. I would stop on the PERS at that point, but you would have no more, what would you say, responsibility to the PERS or obligation. I would now become a Lucera or an LA County.
So your Lucera would transfer all of your retirement and the unfunded liability to Lucera.
That's not staff's understanding.
That's what I.
That is not
I
completely
read it, I'm
accurate,
not sure,
sorry.
I just.
You get a PERS.
Like I said, this is why we're having these dialogues, so that you guys can educate yourselves through this.
Questions?
I'm a lowly fire captain, you guys are city council members.
Okay.
Good job.
Let's, we're going to move to the public, so thank you for coming up.